In this video, we take a look at how to use TransLution EazyQuery. Select the TransLution EazyQuery icon and log in with your credentials. In order to view a query, click on the New Query menu option, and you will be presented with the list of queries that were developed for your business. The queries are shown in groups which are designed when setting up EazyQuery. Let's take a look at a typical query. From the New Query menu option, we select the Purchase Orders group and then select the CISPRO PO data query. This view opens up by default in the first tab of the screen, but initially no data is displayed on the form. This is because you have the opportunity to filter the data you wish to see before displaying anything. The bottom portion of the screen is where you would do this. If you simply want to view all the data in the query, you can click on the query button and all the data is returned. If there are a lot of records, then the optimal process is to leave the max records here as a lower number of rows and to deselect the All Records option until you are sure that you have set the filters correctly. If All Records is selected, which is the default option, then all the rows are returned regardless of the max records count. Once you are happy with the data you see, you can then increase the amount of data returned to the level you require. Let's take a look at how to filter the data to narrow our search. This screen shows a sample query with no filters. This means that you will see information about every single purchase order. Clearly, this results in too much information being returned, and the ideal is to filter the data you want to see. The bottom left-hand corner of the screen is where you decide what you want to see by defining filters to reduce the amount of data returned. If you click on the drop-down below the filter, where option, you will see a list of every column that is displayed on the query form, as shown here. Every field in the query is available as a filter field. Once you have selected what column to filter, you can then select the filter criteria. The most common filter is the equal to, but another common option is the begins with. For times when you know the first couple of characters of something like the supplier name, but not the rest. When you are filtering based on time, the greater than or less than are also very useful options. Note that you can also do exclusion type filters, such as does not begin with. Choose the filter criteria to suit your requirements, and then you have the opportunity to enter the filter value. In our case, we will be filtering where purchase order containing 235, so we select filter where purchase order contains 235, then click on the Add button, and the data is immediately filtered to show the results for PO 235. We can also add a second filter option. Example, here we click on the OR radio button and filter where the purchase order contains 215 and click on Add. This shows us both purchase orders. There is also an option to add buttons on the query screen to enable drilling down to more detailed information. This appears on the top right-hand side of the screen. In this example, we have a button called CISPRO PO line. So from the PO, we can drill down to the lines of the PO, select the PO we want to look at, and click this button. This opens another tab with the PO line details for PO 220. Here we can filter and sort the PO line details as we wish. Let's take a look at how to sort the data. By clicking on a column header, you can either sort that column by ascending or descending order. You can also right-click on any column header and define more complex options. Let's select the Sort option here. We select the Sort by Warehouse, and then by Bin, and click on OK. The data is sorted in that order. Columns can be moved by clicking the mouse button on the column and holding it down and moving the column to the new position. When the red arrow appears, this is where the column will appear. Let's explain the Clear Filters and Clear Results buttons at the bottom of the form. If you have selected multiple filters, you can remove them by going to each one and selecting the Delete button. It is quicker just to click on the Clear Filter option here. The Clear Results does just that. It clears the entire display window and lets you start again. Now let's take a look at some advanced options. There are a number of advanced data viewing and manipulation options which can be accessed by right-clicking on the data grid. This is a list of options shown here. The Group by Box option adds the Group by Box above the grid so that you can choose a field to group by, as shown here. Once the box is in place, drag the field you want to group into the box. To remove the grouping, grab the field and pull it back down into the grid. It is possible to group by multiple fields, simply by dragging additional fields to the Group by box. This screen shows our query group by warehouse. Each group can be expanded or collapsed by clicking next to the group name. The best fit option simply adjusts the column sizes in an attempt to fit all the data onto the screen as economically as possible. Group by this field option gives you exactly the same result as the Group by box, but to use this function point to the field, you want to group by right-click and select Group by this field. Again, multiple groupings are supported. The Auto Preview This Field option moves the data in the selected line to a line below in the grid, thereby giving a whole line to one field. This is useful where the grid contains a large number of columns and doesn't fit well on the form. You can move, for example, the description, which is generally a long field, to a line below. The Filter Row option adds a filter row to the top of the grid. This is another way of filtering data. You simply select the field you want to filter, type in the data you want to the filter, and click on Enter. The results are then returned as shown here. Click on the cross next to the filter to remove the filter. It is important to note that the filter option does not refetch the data from the database. This option really only works for simple filters. If you have more complex filtering requirements, filter options such as not equal to, then use the main filter options as described earlier. Export. This provides a way to export the data to a comma-delimited file, which is the CSV format, which can then be opened in MS Excel. When you select this option, you are presented with an opportunity to specify the target file name and location as shown here. It is important to note that the exported data is not filtered or grouped. It is exported in the grid format. A sample file is then opened in MS Excel as shown here. Once you have filtered and made all your adjustments to the query, you have the option of saving it as a layout, so the next time you run the query, you do not have to redo all the filtering and sorting. Let's take a look at how to set this up. The first step is to create the query. In this example, we will select the SysPro PO data query. Here we see all the POs in the system. We can filter the query, and here we filter where the supplier name is equal to Master Engineers. We can add another filter where the order due date is greater than the 20th of January, 2016, and click on Add. Here we see our filtered query. We then click on Save Filters to save the filters we have just done. The public box. Tick this box if you want other users to see your layout. They can view it if they have access to that view. Now click on New. This opens up a box and allows you to name your layout. We can now click on the Set as default. This is used when you want this layout to be automatically loaded when you open this query. Now let's close this and take a look at what happens when we open the query. When we log in and open the query, SysPro PO data, the layout that we just created is opened automatically with all the filtering. To look at a list of the layouts, click on the drop-down arrow here to see all the layouts you have access to. If you make any changes to the layout, click on the Update button to save the updated changes. If you want to delete the layout, simply click on the Delete button and confirm the deletion. The Bookmark option is an easy way to open all of your queries that you use on a regular basis in one click. To save a query as a bookmark, once you are done filtering and sorting, simply click on the Bookmark button. You are allowed multiple bookmarks. To load the bookmarks, select File and Load Bookmarks, and all of your bookmarks are automatically opened in separate tabs with all the filtering and sorting. We hope this has been useful, and thank you for your time.